Before I get started this video, I just want to say I apologize to my regular subscribers and viewers who haven't seen a video from me in a month or so. Things got kind of busy for me, and I kind of put down the camera and just started getting to doing some work around the house and the homestead here. During that time, we had my mother-in-law's 90th birthday, which was surely a milestone. However, not long after, she started to decline in her health, and not too long ago the family was sitting by the bedside for a week or so, and she eventually found her eternal rest. So I'm happy for her, and I'm sorry for the rest of us. My beloved mother-in-law was 90 years old when she passed. At the time, I had a few videos getting ready to go, and you know that I have trouble editing sometimes. They're just not my skill set, but I'm working on getting better at it. So I have a few videos I want to put out, and I'm going to start with this one. And the film's a little bit old, but I'm hoping to catch up and let you know what's been going on this summer. So enjoy. Hey folks, this is Scott, and welcome to the X-Fed Homestead. Well, today we have great news. My buddy Steve is here, and he's acting as cameraman for the first time. You'll remember Steve helping us out on New Year's Eve in that video where we were prepping in Roger's garage. So glad to have Steve on the job again. Today we're going to look into, what are we doing today? Garden tour, that's it. So today we're going to be doing a garden tour. It's the middle of summer. We've got another 3 months until we harvest everything. So I want to go through now that everything's planted and show you how everything's looking. So why don't we start over here at the broccoli. Now, I have the broccoli under netting, and this is not broccoli. I can show you, this is what happens when you don't put any mulch down to stop the weeds. Now, the broccoli had grass as mulch, and you can see here, you don't have the same weed situation. Now, I've picked the big heads of broccoli here, but look at this. Look at all these side shoots. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Wow, that was a big bug. Look at all these side shoots. These are coming up again. I need to go through and prepare these for the winter. Oh, look at this bug. What are these bugs, Steve? Look at that guy. Is that a Japanese beetle?
No, it's something even more exotic.
Man, that's a monster, huh? Wow.
As you can see.
Yeah. We'll give him a talking to later. Now this broccoli over here is newer, and you can see the heads are much better. So I'm going to harvest this later. I'll leave this top off, but really not a lot of moth damage because of the tops. There's one. This is more broccoli over here. It's much younger, and I have even more growing up on the porch, and I'll be able to plant that more towards the fall. In this row here, we have all our onions, and one of the problems I was having with the onions was that they were all bending over and drooping. So what I decided to do is chop them all down to like 10 inches or so. And you can see some of these brown tips where I chopped them. And that was a week and a half ago. So more of the energy will be going into the onion than going to make foliage here. In this next row, we have green beans, bush beans, right here. You can see the buds on these are just getting going. So those look great. And they're all over here, so we'll start getting beans in a few weeks. And these ones here, what are these? These are black garbanzo bush beans. So that's what this pretty fern is all about. More bush beans going there. And this next bean, I think, is that navy? Yeah, that's the navy bean. So I didn't realize this wasn't a bush bean, so I'm gonna have to put some stakes in here for these beans to climb up. They look like they're starting to get a little bit aggressive. And the last ones here are black beans, and they're over knee high. And they're getting buds on them, some pretty purple flowers you see there. And those will be coming in a few weeks too. So I'm looking forward to that. While we're over in this corner, here are the sunflowers. They're about 4 feet high. And those will be pretty once we get those about 8 feet high. They'll start heading out and we'll start getting those traditional yellow sunflowers working. But the hollyhocks look real pretty and add a lot of color to the garden. And I see the bees over here all the time. The only unfortunate thing is that they have this rust on them, and hopefully somebody can leave in the comments how I can get rid of that. I definitely like to get rid of that. Let's see. Next, in this row, we have our potatoes. I just grew Yukon Gold potatoes this year. We're not eating as many in the coming year as we have in the past, but they're about 3 feet high now, and the foliage is about to start falling. You can see the flowers on them. They're gonna start falling into the aisles and dying away, probably in a month or so. I'm gonna add, once they fall away, I'm gonna add some more compost and soil to ensure that they're covered up so the sunlight doesn't hit them and turn them green. And then we'll just wait for them to die away and have a nice row of potatoes. Over here by the tomato fence, you can see we're starting to get some tomatoes. We get some green San Marzano tomatoes over here. We have San Marzano Gigante, and Amish paste tomatoes. Right next to the broccoli, we've got some great color with the rainbow chard. You can see I've been picking a bunch of it over here. I got for breakfast this morning. And we have red and yellow. It's real pretty on the plate. So, and it's delicious. My wife loves that, along with this leafy kale, curly kale. And over here, we have some arugula, which if you like arugula, it's got a very unique smell to it. So the arugula's been all picked, and a lot of this is the second coming of it. I cut it down to like an inch or so, and then this stuff has come again. And so this is the second bloom of the arugula. And the lettuce looks fantastic. This was supposed to be a Cost style lettuce, like a romaine. It's not coming up a little bit more leafy. I don't know exactly what kind it is, but it's very good, very tender. Not as tender as a Bib lettuce, but very, very nice. And I'm really proud of this row right here. This is my carrots, and this row of carrots, there are 4 varieties of carrots, and it's not weed free, but it's a really good looking row of carrots. I've done some weeding. You're not going to be a gardener and get away without weeding, but I have over here, as you look down into it, some boards which I've talked about before. I have some pallet boards in here which stop it from weeding out too badly, but also directs the water to the sides. onto the carrot plant instead of to what would be weeds. Let's see, this first half of the carrots is pelleted seeds, so they are planted very thinly. So I don't really need to thin this. However, this side over here, if you look down here, you can see they're really growing close together. So what I'll want to do is pull out a few. You can see the carrot right there. I'll pull out a few like I've done over here on this pile and thin those out so that the other ones can grow a lot bigger. So, but they look fantastic. They're nice and well leafed out, and they look great. Next to those, I have zucchini, and the zucchini's just really starting to get going. In fact, today's the best day. This is the biggest zucchini I've found thus far, and there are some smaller ones in there, and soon I think we'll have enough zucchini, so I'll start putting them in people's mailboxes in the neighborhood, which is one way to get rid of it. You didn't hear that from me. Here's our sun gold and our slicer tomato. We have an eggplant, which I wanted to try one plant this year. My wife wanted to try eggplant, and we don't eat a lot of peppers, so next to those we have 2 pepper plants. That's all I got. I got these at Blue Moon. I can see 1 pepper over here just starting. If you look at that right there, got just 1 pepper going. So they'll get there though. I see a lot of buds, and you can see them starting over here. So I'm not worried about peppers. And next to that, I bought a celery and just threw it in. We'll see how the celery does. And then I've got a few more San Marzano, Gigante, and San Marzano tomatoes after that. Next to where the fennel's supposed to be are golden beets. And you can see right here, I planted them somewhat thickly. There are quite a few. I'm gonna have to thin them, but thinning them's okay with me because my wife loves stir-fried beet greens. And I just found out Steve likes them too. So Steve's gonna go home with some. But I started thinning them out. I'm gonna do a little bit more and make sure we have plenty of beet greens for breakfast. Next to the beet greens is the bok choy. And this is the first year I've grown bok choy, and it came up very quickly. Again, I planted it a little thickly, a lot of seeds close together. So some of these plants didn't come up like the big bok choy base that you see, the big round base that you would see in the store, but they taste great, and I just chop them off. I'll see if they come again. I don't know if they do, but I've got plenty more to go through here, and I've got more seeds. Since it grows so quickly, I can do that as well. I'll plant some more, and I'm sure they'll grow just fine. One of the things that I'm proud of doing this year is my cucumber trellis. And this is an arched cucumber trellis that I made out of hog panels. And as it's growing, it's just at the beginning, and already I've gotten a bunch of pickling cukes off of here. Here's some nice pickling cukes. I saw another one back here. Here we are. Got a couple pickling cukes that I can work on this weekend. I'm gonna do some pickling. I've got about 20 of these sitting in the fridge. So this arch has pickling cukes. The next arch, closer to the camera, has regular cucumbers. I think they're Marketmore cucumbers that had a little bit of a tough time getting through the heat. I lost 3 out of 6 plants, but as you can see, the benefit of having a trellis like this is that the side shoots can be trained up. So even though I may only have 2 plants right now where the camera is looking, you can see that it's full of vines. And so I think I'm still going to get a lot of cucumbers off of that. The next vegetable, in fact, the whole row practically from this point over to the north side of the garden, is winter squash. This is butternut squash. And what I like to do while I still can is I pick up the squash and I look underneath the leaves for any red little eggs from squash bugs. Historically, this garden has gotten overrun by squash bugs, but I will say I've been diligent this year in squashing as many of them as I can find. I come out most days and look under the leaves, and until I get heavier winter squash on there, I can still do that so that I can look under and see if we have squash bugs. But you have to be vigilant. Constant vigilance with squash bugs. At the front of our last row in the tour, I have some zinnias. I didn't buy that many this year. I tried to grow them from seed, but it didn't work out for me. And I have to pay more attention to that next year. But you can see this whole row is starting to fill in with winter squash. Here's another one over here. We're actually doing pretty well. And I think the last thing in this part of the garden is okra. Now, okra is a vegetable, and not a lot of people up north here, especially in New England, are familiar with okra, but I've been growing it for several years now. This will get 6 or 7 feet high and will make some nice pods that you want to eat when they're little, like 3 or 4 inches big. They get a lot bigger, but they get tougher as they get larger. So you want to get those, you got to get out here every day, like a lot of things in gardening. You got to get out here every day and get them when they're small. Anyway, that's okra. Let's see, what else do we want to see?
Potato.
We saw the potatoes. Let's go look at the blueberries. So now here in the blueberry patch, I have the netting up so the birds are staying away. I got it up just in time. You can see here, there are a few blueberries that the birds got at, just very few relative to how many there are. But there really are a lot in these plants. If you look at here, this whole plant's weighted down from all the blueberries, which is not that terrible a thing to happen. But I noticed Steve's picking a few as he's trying to do the camera work, multitasking as it were. But take a look at these blueberries. So that one I got a little early, but those are some nice blueberries. I believe this kind is blue crop, and it's an earlier blueberry. These 6 plants, 2 rows of 3, these 6 plants here are all blue crops, so they come early. And then the next 6 plants are Patriot, and they come later than the blue crop. And then the high bush ones, the really tall ones over here, these ones are Chandlers. And you can see they're out now and they're green, but these Chandlers will be, no kidding, as big as a quarter. They are the largest blueberries on the market, and they're very, very, not as sweet as the blue crop, but they have such great mouthfeel. You take 10 of those and chuck them in your gob. It's fantastic. It's a really wonderful flavor. So I always look forward to the Chandler berries later in the summer. I finally finished the strawberry patch, and I've got about 100 strawberry plants in here. And let's see, one is Jewel, and one variety is Cabot, I believe. And I've been picking off all of the flowers off of all of the plants as soon as I see them, except for this one right here, because I just couldn't help myself. I wanted to see what these strawberries are going to look like, and there's one. The reason I've been picking the flowers off of all the strawberries is because I want the plants to focus all their energy on getting roots. And having said that though, I do have a few runners out where some of the energy will be going, but these plants look very, very healthy. I'm very pleased with the direction that they're going. And I planted them over a foot apart so that these strawberries can grow into this empty row and these strawberries can grow into that empty row over there. So I was going to put more beds over here, and I still am. The lumber is under these blue tarps, which you see here in the background of everything. But I think I may be growing some different things, maybe some blackberries, some tea herbs. My wife is thinking about doing different kinds of herbal teas and making our own, so I'm thinking of planting those. I think that we'll take some of the herbs that I've started up on the deck of the house, and I'll bring those down here once these beds are in, which will hopefully be in the next week or so. Over here is a great example of New England raspberries. These have just started to come out. Try one of those, Steve. We're probably going to have a little picking session here tonight, but those are really good. Am I right? Yeah. These just came out in force this week. Get a shot of this whole bush. It's amazing. These just came out in force, and now they'll be falling off the tree soon, or falling off the bush, I should say. But these are very, very tasty. Over here, these are earlier summer varietals, and this over here is a variety called Himbo Top, which will bear this fall. I see a few probably older raspberry bushes that are bearing right now, but those aren't Himbo Top. I got one or two of those sitting over here somehow, but the rest of these are looking really, really strong. Foliage is looking really good. I think that's it, except for the chickens. Hey girls. The little chicks are doing just fine. We've got 8 of them in here, and they're assimilating very well. They've got their roosts over here and their food and a future nesting box for when they start laying eggs in the fall. But they're going to replace the layers that are in the chicken coop. They're Plymouth Barred Rock chickens, and they're very quiet and docile. So I'm really liking these chickens. I had forgotten about my squash patch. I have 4 squash plants here, and one volunteer. It may be a squash. I thought it might be a cucumber, but it looks like a squash. I don't know exactly what variety it is. This is the composting area, so something always comes up every year. Tomato, squash, something always volunteers. And the girls are doing just fine. So I just cleaned out their coop not too long ago, and they've been pretty happy ever since. Well, thanks for joining me for the garden tour. I appreciate Steve working behind the camera, and I'm really proud of the way the garden's looking this year. I finally feel like it's organized and as weed-free as possible under the circumstances. We got the strawberry beds in. That was a big project this year, and the blueberries are all netted. All the things that I usually am late on are working out this year. So I'm very pleased with the cucumber trellis. I hope it's going to fill up and have a lot of cucumbers in it. But appreciate you joining me today. If you like this content, let me know. Give some comments down below and let me know some of the other things you'd like to see. Like and subscribe if you have the opportunity. It's free. And again, this is Scott at the XFed Homestead. We'll see you next time.